Welcome back, everybody. In the last video, we talked about read, study, and educate, and so that you can learn the ins and outs of real estate investing and just getting yourself educated in the lingo of real estate investing, the different types of real estate investing, and you really need to take your time to do that thoroughly so you can just, again, get your mind shift to be thinking differently about money and investing and understanding real estate, because it does take some time to transition just the thought process and just understanding that type of investment. So in the last video, I gave you several different areas of ways that I personally looked at into and researching and learning, whether it be books or podcasts or YouTube videos, things like that. So now in this video, I want to talk about what I have on the board here: identify your buy box. So by that, I am referring to identifying and knowing exactly what kind of real estate you want to invest in and how you want to invest in real estate. There are so many different types and ways that you can invest in real estate. Do you want to actually purchase properties and what's called buy and hold, like you're buying the property and you're holding on to it as a long-term investment and having a tenant in place? Do you want to fix and flip? Do you want to wholesale? Do you want to act as the private money lender? If you have all of the funds, but maybe you don't want to actually invest physically into it, you can act as the bank, so to speak, and lend the money to other investors, to where you're just then earning interest. So there are so many different ways that you can actually invest in real estate. If you choose to invest in real estate to where you're actually buying the properties, then you need to identify how you're going to do that. You need to identify and find out, okay, what kind of properties do I want to buy? Do I want them to be residential properties or commercial properties? If it's residential, do you want to do single family home? Do you want to do condos or townhouses, or maybe multifamily, meaning like 1 to 4 units would be considered residential. If you get over 5 or more units, then that's considered commercial property, and that's a different type of lending and guidelines there. So you really need to now identify how you want to invest and where you want to invest. And so that's what I'm meaning here when I say identify your buy box. In the last video, I mentioned one of the YouTube channels that I follow is One Rental at a Time, and Michael Zuber is the one that really talks about this in depth, identifying your buy box. So by that, when I purchased our last property, before that, I should say, I was really just not zoned in on a specific narrow focus of a type of property. I knew that I wanted to invest in single family homes, and the way I choose to invest is buy and hold long-term real estate. So we have long-term tenants in our properties, and I plan on holding on to those houses indefinitely. So I don't have any plan to sell them. Now, when I purchased those properties, again, as I mentioned, I knew that I wanted to buy single family homes, but I really didn't have a buy box per se, to where I was looking in a specific area, or so I was kind of just looking for any deal that came along. And because of that, I wasn't as focused. So I knew that going forward, when it came time to purchasing the next property, that I really needed to hone down and focus on a specific area to invest in. So what I did personally was, okay, so let's take that buy box. Okay, so I live here in Phoenix, Arizona. So let's just say, okay, Maricopa County. Well, Maricopa County is huge. So you need to narrow that down. There's other cities within Maricopa County. So, okay, what city do I want to invest in? Well, now you need to take it down even further. What zip code do you want to invest in? And then within that zip code, what type of property do you want to invest in? So, okay, single family residence. Then narrow it down even more. How many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms? So you really need to narrow down in great detail so that you know exactly what type of house you are looking for, what type of property you are looking for, because that's going to help you later on as we get into running your numbers. And if you're just looking at properties in all these different cities, it's going to be a lot harder for you to identify and know what a good deal is. So in order to know if you're buying a property that's going to cash flow and that it's going to be a good deal, you really need to identify your buy box, and you really need to focus down in depth in those different areas of the market in order to be able to run your numbers and know what the average rent is in that subdivision or community. Because if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be as focused on being able to calculate your numbers, because you're not as in tune with the market in that particular area. So, for example, like the West Valley in Phoenix is completely different than the East Valley in the Phoenix area. So, so you really need to identify your buy box, because that's going to help you narrow down, really focus on a particular property type and in a particular location. Because again, as I mentioned in the upcoming videos, I'm going to share with you how you can actually learn how to run your numbers. And before you get to that point, you really need to focus on your buy box. So that's what you need to focus on now. You've done your education, hopefully, and you've read books, you've watched YouTube videos, you've listened to podcasts, you've interacted with other people, maybe you have a mentor. And so now you really need to hone down and focus and identify your buy box so that you have a particular property type in mind that you're going to start looking at. So again, that's what I did on this last property that we purchased. I really did make a buy box, and I was looking at a specific property type in a specific location because I knew that that's what I wanted to invest in, and I was only looking within those parameters. Now, you may see that there's other things outside your buy box that you think are going to be good deals, but if you're just then chasing those, it's going to be distracting to you, and you're going to lose focus, and you're going to probably make mistakes because you're not as focused and in tune into that particular area. So don't get distracted, because if you do the work, which Michael Zuber harps on all the time, you got to do the work and identify what that property is and really know the market really well so that you can be able to identify a good deal when it comes along. So that can take time. This is a slow process. This isn't meant to be a get-rich-quick scheme or anything like that. So don't get frustrated if it's taking time. Michael Zuber says that it's going to take 60 to 90 days for you to really know your market. So it can take some time before you may even be able to feel confident in knowing what average is in that area and identifying just a normal average deal, because you don't want to buy average, you want to buy good to great deals is what he says. So do the work. It takes time, and you just really need to be disciplined, but the only way you're going to do that is if you identify your buy box and you take that time up front to really learn the market, and as we're going to get into, learning how to run your numbers. So that's what I did, is I identified a market, identified my buy box. I made sure my numbers worked on that particular property. So take that time. identify your buy box and work on those numbers as we get into that in the next couple of videos. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions about anything, just let me know. You can put comments in the videos and get back to me, and I will do my best to respond. So keep doing the good work. You guys are doing great. Thanks for staying with me this long, and we'll see you on the next video. All right, bye.